good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, wherever you're watching this. Welcome to In Conversation With. We're back for a second series and we're really excited to share these new episodes with you. We've got some great people sharing their testimony with us, so do join with us over the coming weeks. As we release episodes, we're going to be doing 2 episodes a week, coming out on a Tuesday and a Thursday afternoon. So we're really excited to share those with you. Hopefully you might have seen some of the first series and I hope you've enjoyed them. If not, do go back and check them out, but it's great to have you with us if it's your first time watching. The idea of this podcast is very simple. We basically just want to share the gospel of Jesus with as many people as possible, share how Jesus can work in anybody's life, no matter who you are or what you've done, how he can change lives and how he can change your life as well. So I'll just introduce myself as well. My name is James. I'm from Crown Lane Free Methodist Church, and I'll be hosting all these podcast episodes and interviewing the guests that are coming on. So sit back and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Okay, so today it is great to be joined by and to be in conversation with Mick Lund. Mick, it's great to have you with us today. Could you perhaps give us a quick introduction of yourself before we dive into the questions?
Yeah, well, like you say, I'm Mick Lund. I'm age 53 and I'm a farmer at Quernmore. And yeah, that's about it, James. There's nothing right interesting there, is it?
Real. Like I say, thanks for doing this, Mick. So if you could, to start with, Mick, if you could just share a little bit about your early life, what that was like and where you grew up and what your childhood was like, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was brought up at a place called Mewith, which is just outside Bentham in Yorkshire. Fantastic county that it is, as all of you Lancastrians will appreciate. I was brought up there on a farm. I had a fantastic childhood. I can't find any fault at all with my childhood. My parents, very kind, looked after me well. And I went to Bentham Methodist Church there. So that's where all my life was spent there. Sunday school, through all the Sunday school there, through youth groups, everything like that. Went to it all, and even in our own house, which was called Milldam Farm. There was a Methodist service held there every Sunday not every Sunday afternoon, every other Sunday afternoon. It was part of the Methodist Settle and District Methodist Circuit. So our living room was put aside and chairs were set out, and we had a service there, so there was no escape from that. But I was happy to go because I think that's what I thought Mum and Dad expected it of me, wanted us there, and I didn't want to upset them at all, so we went there. But it was quite interesting. It was in the living room, and my mum had set off in wintertime a roaring fire, and there was a lot of farmers had just eaten the big dinners, and they got in the comfy chairs because there was a lot of like armchairs. They were sat in them, and it wasn't long before I'd started to drop, and I'd spend my time looking around watching who was falling asleep first and that. But I'm very grateful to say that I never fell asleep in any of those services. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. My childhood, played a lot of sports, mostly by myself in the yard, football, and cricket. Loved cricket, and I got to play snooker as well. And they were the sports that I like to play.
Yeah, so you mentioned, Mick, that you're sports mad. When was that a big thing in your life, sports? Was that something that you kind of grew out of? Or?
No, sports was a big thing in my life. Not so much football and cricket. I played them by myself at home or with friends. That wasn't a big thing. But when I was a young boy, my dad took me to the Liberal Club in Bentham because he played a bit of snooker. And as a, 6-7-year-old, I could just see over the table, and this game took me over completely. from watching him play snooker, I went home and made Lego pockets for a snooker table, and had a little marble, had some marbles and a stick, and I tried to play snooker on the carpet, but obviously with no cushions, it was quite difficult. But that's how I got into snooker, and then I played more and more and more. And I think, James, you could find this hard to believe that as I got into my teens and early 20s, it became almost an addiction. I loved it so much, and I got quite good at it. So I was winning tournaments and things over at Skipton. Entered tournaments there, won them. At Lancaster, I was winning tournaments there as well. And it just took over my whole life. I had a table at home, and that was set up permanently in the living room, as it were. But obviously, when it became our Sunday afternoons and we had our service, my snooker table had to come down, and that was a devastation to have to take it down, because it was a big job setting it up right and just to get it to fit in the middle of the room. And I didn't particularly like that, but I still went to chapel and everything. The Liberal Club, where I played most of my snooker, was possibly 100 yards from the Methodist chapel. So it was quite handy, I suppose. After meetings and stuff, I would sometimes quickly pop up there. Or never on Sundays, never have played on Sundays. Never played football for anybody on Sundays. I never played any snooker on Sundays other than at home. But I never went to any clubs or played any matches on Sundays, because that's probably what I thought my mum and dad would expect of me. Or they did expect of me, so I didn't want to do anything to upset them. So I didn't play Sundays other than at home. And it was a complete addiction, James. Completely. I would even when I was at school, I would get up really early in my later school years, and like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I look back now and think I was crazy, and play snooker on our table just to get my arm in. Then as coming home from school, I'd run home and play a bit of snooker again. When I got home, homework suffered, obviously, of course, and probably should have been helping my dad more on the farm outside, but he was quite happy to let me play, I think, because I was getting quite good at it and that sort of thing. So completely took over my life. But as I won the tournaments at Skipton were played in the town hall, believe it or not, Skipton Town Hall. So there was a lot of people there, and I won one year, and then I won it again another year, and then in the third year, James, I was playing, and I got to the semi-finals, and I was getting absolutely thrashed. It was best of 5 game, and I was 2-0 down, and I was way behind in this third, and I was going to look like I was going to lose. The lad was clearing up, and I remember I was thinking around the table as we were playing, man, there's got to be more to life than this. There's got to be something more. You know, even though I know I was going through chapel and I was hearing messages all the time, sometimes 4 on Sundays, because there'd be a morning service, our afternoon service, then night service, and then there was after church rallies and things we would go to. So I was hearing plenty of messages, but I never made any commitments at all. And I think probably most people thought I was a Christian, but I'd never made any commitments, and I didn't really. I suppose I was apathetic to it all. I didn't really care much about it, but I went and I listened. I always listened, but I never really saw how it related to me, because I never wanted to. I thought, if I became a Christian, what would it lead to? And it could lead to like speaking and standing up in front of people. I had this great fear of that, which is silly, I know, because I would play snooker in front of maybe 200 people, something like that. But standing up and speaking and sharing was never really fancied that. But there I was playing this game, and I thought there's got to be more to life than this. You know, I'd always striven for winning tournaments, trophies. I had them nicely lined up. the trophy cabinet filled, and I won quite a bit of money as well. And yeah, I thought there must be more to life than this, and there was.
Indeed. So you talk about snooker, and you love snooker, and you're thinking that there must be more to life than this. So perhaps, Mick, if you could share, what you found, what was more to life, what?
Yeah, I carried on life. Even from that point, it was a long time years before I became a Christian. I can't remember how old I would be then. Maybe that time I'm 20, 23, something like that, James. I think maybe 24. And yeah, I'd gone through everything, like the youth club at Bentham. I'd go to all that. I'd become, we'd gone through membership classes, Methodist membership classes. I'd become a member. And yeah, so my life just carried on. I was still played snooker and sports. I played in the Sports Reach League for Bentham, but it was all about football. The message at the start of the game, I probably didn't listen much because I was wanting to get on and play. And they never asked me to do a message, thankfully, because I don't know what I would have said. And I just probably backed out of it most of the time. And so that's how my life went on. I met Lynn and my wife, and yeah, we got married. And I suppose life just carried on. I didn't play, after I got married, didn't play much snooker. I think from that point, like I was saying in that semi-final, the hunger for playing seemed to disappear. I don't know, it was taken away from me, the hunger to play, so I didn't play a huge amount. My snooker playing slowly dropped off. And I suppose after getting married, we moved to Quernmore, to a bigger farm. We left the farm at Mewith, came to farm at Quernmore. I got in with Quernmore Methodists. I started going there. But sometimes I had the good job that I didn't go to Bentham, I didn't go to Quernmore, but I think the people would think I didn't go anywhere sometimes. And I would think, well, it was all right. They'd think I was at Quernmore, Quernmore would think I was at Bentham. So I was floating in the middle of it. And that's sort of how my life went on. I went to an alpha course at Quernmore. I went through all that as well. And, I still didn't really have any commitment, I was challenged sometimes. I felt Jesus speaking to me, but I just didn't want to commit to anything. And I think, like I say, most people would think I was a Christian. And my life sort of trundled along like that. A lot of work on farms, sometimes working on 2 farms now, still helping my dad and working here as well. And that's how it went on. And then I became friends with a fella called Sutty. A lot of you will know him. And Sutty and Grace and James and Luke became really good friends with them, and they had a huge impact on my life. I saw the way they were living their lives, and and Sutty is such a great encourager, a great friend, and he got me into helping at Sports Reach at soccer schools. And then also at Quernmore Methodist Chapel, they started having holiday clubs. And Lizzie Whittaker, who comes to Quernmore, married Dave Whittaker, she encouraged me to come and help. And it's funny with Lizzie, there doesn't seem any way of saying no. She gets you involved, and that was great as well. And through these 2 things, they were, in summer times, I was really getting challenged a lot. Messages speaking into my heart about the way I was living my life. And it was a huge challenge to me. And I was looking at a lot of children, and I was standing up in front of them and doing certain things, no speaking or anything, but I was leader of some teams, and I was thinking, I'm stood here in front of them, and there's so much wrong in my life. And I just felt really getting challenged a lot of times. And we had one at a soccer school at Quernmore. We never got many children, but they were really good times because there's other bigger soccer schools around and about, and the children tended to go to them. So at Quernmore, we never had a huge amount of children, maybe 20 perhaps was the most, 15, 20. And we had a soccer school there, and wow, that was such a challenge there. What was going on, the messages. And before that, though, Sutty asked me to go to Austria with on the tour there that Sportreach do, but I backed out of it. Just didn't want to go. I didn't fancy it. But he encouraged, but I still didn't go, and off they went. And I've got to say, James, after they went, and for the time that they were there, I did a lot of crying. I was in tears a lot. I just felt I should have been on that. Lord challenging me. You should have been there. You should have gone. You know, what you're doing, Michael, what you're doing with your life. But still, there was sort of this fear. I didn't want to let go. And I thought, a lot of people are going to think I was Christian. A lot of people thought I was a Christian. It's just how that had happened. And I thought, how can I stand up now and say, you know, I wasn't Christian? And so at the soccer school, Graham Stanford spoke in the morning, and I was so convicted. But still, I was fighting hard. I wasn't gonna let go. I wasn't gonna commit. There was this fight inside me. I didn't want to let go of the life that I had, or the way I was living it, I suppose. You know, comfortable. And so we went home from that service, and the afternoon was just such a challenge. Went at evening, and we had another speaker. Harry Hutchinson was speaking from Kirby Stephen, and and all through that he was spot on for me. And then he finished his service, and after the final hymn, he said, "There's somebody here," he said, "who won't let go. There's somebody here who needs to let go of the life and accept Jesus as a saviour." And as he said that, he looked straight at me. But still, James, I was fighting. I wasn't going to walk out to the front or anything. I left. I left really quick with hardly speaking to anybody. Went home, sat on our settee at home, and just tears just poured out. I cried and cried and cried. And, you know, I never really shared much with Lynn either. I think she knew I was battling away, but I just felt so bad, and like I'd let her down, and felt like I'd let people down somewhere with my life. And I accepted Jesus as my saviour then that night, and it was great. I wish I'd done it so much sooner. And went to see a wise man who lives in Quernmore, and I said, telling him I went to see Sutty, told him I'd become a Christian. He wasn't the wise man. But I went to see another man who was wise. I just went off on a tangent there. I went to see another man who was wise in Quernmore, and I said, I feel so bad about the life that I've wasted. And he says, it's not what you've done before, Michael, it's how you live your life now, what you do from now on. That's what's important. So I became a Christian then, and it's the best thing I've ever done, James.
Brilliant. You touched on it a little bit, Mick, but you know, when you took that step and became a Christian, you know, was there an immediate change in your life, and kind of how did it make a difference to you in your life over the days, weeks, months, years to come?
Yeah, I think there was quite a change from then on. I'd been so much worry and stress about everything, and a peace came over me, James. It was I really felt God having his hand in my life, and Jesus in my heart. It made a real difference, and it went on going to services now. It was great. People knew that I'd become a Christian, and you'd hear and listen and take things in more, and it just had a real change in my life. And I got closer to God. I'd never been close to him, I don't think, before. I'd asked him for things, but knowing he's with you and in your heart all the time, it made a massive difference in my life. And going to Quernmore, I became a steward, and sometimes I feel unworthy of such a position, but I know that God's always with me, and he's guiding me, and it shows you the right path to go. And it's been great, James.
Well, from when you became a Christian, Mick, has it always been plain sailing in life since then?
No, it's not plain sailing. I think as a Christian, you have to face the problems of life. There's stresses, problems, things go wrong, family illnesses, and people's problems. And you have that as a non-Christian. You get that as a Christian, and life goes on. And it's the way you live your life. I think when you come across these problems and stresses, people are watching you if you're a Christian and see the way you react and things like that. And yeah, it's not been plain sailing, James. As I can think of really painful times in my life, and I lost my sister. I was in a really bad car accident, and yeah, Rachel, when she was born, she had to have open heart surgery, and we went to Alderhay, and we went up through all that, and yeah, that was really hard times. And I thought in some of them times, I thought I would crumble. It just seemed, so much stress and worry. But then I handed it over to God, and it's like, when we were in Alderhay with Rachel, it was like we were carried through it. There's so many people praying for us, and it was like God was so close to us. It was a tremendous time, and as it happened, there was, I think, sports reach were away, so down south, so a lot of all our friends were away. We were in Liverpool, so our family didn't come. We were in there for a week, and so we had no visitors, but it was just me and Lynn, and and God was with us, and it was such a tremendous time. I felt really carried through it. It was so close to us. When the problems come, if you've got Jesus in your heart, you've always got somebody with you, somebody close to you, somebody who'll carry you and help you. And that's what I've come to find in life. It isn't easy. There's not plain sailing. Problems will still come, but God's with you, and He wants to help carry you through.
Really. Thanks for sharing, Mick. So as we're coming really to the final question now, we're living in some strange and some uncertain times. You've spoken a little bit just then as you shared about Rachel. Can you give us some advice and some kind of hope for these days and as we look ahead?
Yeah, it's strange times indeed, James, and you see the world with so many problems, and as you look at the news, there's so many things going wrong in so many places, and people have just turned away from God. A lot of people have no interest. A lot of people, if you shared with them, think, what you on about? God doesn't exist. If you look on sometimes on things on YouTube where there's Christian things, there's a small amount of views, and then you look at where a Christian has been, or they've tried to trick a Christian, or that has 1 million views. The world's looking, down on Christianity and all that sort of thing. Yeah, and I look at Rachel and I sort of worry for what sort of life she's going to have as she grows up, and but as I look at that and my worry and stress, I've got to realise that God's with me. God's going to carry you through. He wants to be close to you. He just wants you to ask Him into your heart. But the world isn't interested anymore. I think we've got to get a lot more praying and praying for the world. Well, the challenge for me, praying for people, my neighbours, who have no interest in the church or or Jesus or having Him in their life. They're not interested. But you got to start praying for our non-Christian friends and family, and really praying for them, really committing them to God. And hopefully more people will turn to God. If we put Him first, put our trust in Him, and really commit these people to God, I think we can see great works going on, and there is great works going on. People are being saved, but get praying for non-Christians and spend time praying. that's the way I think we need to go, James.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mick. Well, Mick, as Mick just shared then, a great thing to do, the best thing you can do is to invite Jesus into your life. And Mick has shared with us how God has completely changed his life, and it can be the same for you too as you watch this interview. God can completely change your life. You just need to admit your need of him and want to live your life for him. And in each of these podcast episodes, we want to give you that opportunity. We want to give you that opportunity to take that step to come to know Jesus for yourself. And, Mick spoke a lot about really being challenged about becoming a Christian and coming to know Jesus. And you might be the same now. You might be really challenged as you watch this interview to come to know Jesus, to take that step. And so I'm just going to pray a short prayer now. And if you want to take that step and you truly want to know Jesus and to live for him, then follow along with this prayer now. Father God, I am a sinner. I need you in my life. Thank you for sending Jesus, your Son, to the cross for me, to take my sins upon his shoulders. And I pray that at this time you would do the same for me. You would come into my life. You would live in and through me. Make me white as snow, take my sin away. And just help me in these times. I pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, if you prayed that prayer or you're thinking about praying that prayer, we'd love to know, because it is such a wonderful thing. It is such an encouraging thing for myself and for Mick. And we'd also love to know, because we'd love to support you in these times, whether by sending you a Bible or Bible study notes, things like that, or just simply praying for you, because the best thing that you can do really is to get to know God, whether through his word or by praying, just growing to know him and growing that relationship with him. So do get in touch if you want to take that step. There'll be details in the description below. And as well, as I just mentioned, if you'd like prayer for anything, as Mick has shared, prayer is very powerful. So if you would like prayer, please get in touch and we'll happily pray for you. If you've got any questions, then get in touch. We'd love to help and support you in these funny times. So as we come to a close, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching this episode. Thank you so much, Mick, for coming on and sharing very openly and candidly. It's been great to have you on.
Thanks, James.
See you all again soon. Thanks very much. Goodbye.